Hi, I'm Roby, and I'm the curator of primates here at Oklahoma City Zoo. Welcome to today's Zoo at 2. As you can see today, senior keepers Crystal and Stephanie will be feeding our Tanuki today. That's female Yuna on the left, and Toshi will be on the right. Toshi can be a little bit shyer than Yuna. And as you see, my staff, they're feeding the Tanuki with long extended forks, and they're feeding them together. So number one, this helps build trust among the keepers and the animals, which is very important. And number two, with the use of the forks, it's a safe way to feed canids. The Tanuki are members of the dog family, and other canids within the zoo are African painted dogs, red fox, and coyotes. And sometimes when visitors see the Tanuki, they think Yuna, for example, looks like a little white Pomeranian. And sometimes we get questions about, well, do they act like dogs? Do they act like cats? Do they act like foxes? And even the Japanese translation of their name means badger, and they actually show signs or traits of all these different kinds of animals. And actually they can be quite mysterious. They're active at night and at dusk and dawn, which is what we call crepuscular. And actually they've been popular within Japanese folklore for ages. And it's part of their being mysterious that draws our attention to them. In folklore, they're also considered shapeshifters.
Oh, wow.
As I mentioned, we're feeding these two to develop a bond or help reinforce the bond between keepers and animals. It's one method or one way that we feed them. Throughout the day, we try to feed them in other methods to elicit species typical or natural behaviors, and that's what we call enrichment. So sometimes during the day, they get food spread throughout their exhibit, and they'll search for those items. They are considered opportunistic omnivores, which means they eat all kinds of food. So whenever we spread food in the exhibit, it might be some of their kibble, it might be fruits and vegetables. We also use live prey such as crickets and mealworms, and that really gets them, that elicits their hunting behavior, and they chase the insects throughout the yard. They also do get hard-boiled eggs, which you'll see in a minute, as an omnivore, and that's a treat for them.
It looks like Stephanie has a fish too.
Yeah, they do get, right now they're getting meatballs and fish, which they really enjoy. This is also a way to get medicine into animals based on this trusting relationship. If we needed to give any of the animals medication, we could hide it in the meatball or the fish, and they would take it readily.
So Roby, for our viewers that are just turning in, can you remind them where we are here in the zoo and who we're meeting today?
Oh, sure. We're in Sanctuary Asia. And this is Yuna on the left, our white Tanuki, and this is Toshi on the right. Typically, the Tanuki look like Toshi. You can see why we call them raccoon dogs in addition to Tanuki with that coloration. Yuna is white, and that is very rare with Tanuki. In addition to the animals that we have within our Asian exhibit, there's another pair, another part of the zoo by the lake, and both of those animals look like our Toshi here, look like raccoon dogs.
Oh, okay.
And I think somebody was asking about their skunk-like smell. They definitely do have a strong odor, and they use that to communicate with other Tanukis.
So our little female over here, the white one, she looks like she might be shedding.
She is shedding her winter coat. And what we've done, we talked about enrichment just a minute ago. What we have done is we've attached brushes in their exhibit, and she'll scratch on that and try and get that winter coat off. So when we have visitors come see them in the winter, they'll be a little more inactive. I believe they're the only canids that do go into a hibernative state. Here with the Oklahoma weather, they really don't, but they're much more inactive and they're super fluffy. And if you come to see them in the warmer weather, once they lose all that winter coat, they'll look different.
Wow.
And can you talk about their habitat here in Sanctuary Asia?
Sure. In this new exhibit, they do share the exhibit with two of our Langer monkeys. So when visitors come and watch them, it's kind of a great experience because you've got active animals down below, but you also have our monkeys who are up high. Right now, our monkeys aren't on exhibit with them. It's just the Tanuki, just because of the inclement weather coming. But usually the monkeys are out with them. And initially, they would interact with each other. Sometimes the monkeys would give the Tanuki a little slap, but they pretty much acclimated to each other now.
That's great.
And do we breed our Tanuki here at the zoo?
We do not breed our Tanuki. There are a lot of factors that go into looking into breeding, and right now they're just not recommended to breed.
Okay.
And in the wild, their population is actually considered least concern, which is a category under endangered or threatened. And one reason they do so well in the wild is they're very adaptive. Like I said, they're very opportunistic. And they originated in Japan, but because they are so adaptable, they've gone outside that home range into quite a bit of into Asia, which is why they're considered an invasive species. And they've also been introduced unintentionally to parts of Europe. And even though populations are pretty big in the wild, we do have some threats to their populations, which a big part is human encroachment and also the fur trade.
Yeah. Now you mentioned before, so they're called Tanuki, but they're also known as
Raccoon dogs.
Raccoon dogs, okay.
And there's some other local names because they have that rich history in Japanese culture, but I can't think of what they are.
No, that's okay. They really do have that raccoon face almost.
And
They
are they
do.
related to raccoons?
They're actually related to the dog family, more so than the family in which raccoons
Wow.
are.
So you had mentioned before we have 4 Tanuki.
We do.
Can you talk about how old they are and what their names are and where the other 2 Tanuki are right now?
Yeah, the other Tanuki are in the area of the zoo by the lake. And then, like we talked about before, Yuna is our white Tanuki, and Toshi is the one that looks like a raccoon. Their weight ranges from about 5 to 6 pounds,
Okay.
and they are 3 years old actually. But we did acquire them from a zoo in the Netherlands
Oh, okay.
because there aren't many places in the United States and AZA zoos that have them. Zoo Atlanta has some, and we have some.
Awesome. Miles, who's age 7, would like to know how long they live.
They can live, I think, up 10 years.
Okay.
About that.
All right. And a really funny question. You had mentioned they share the habitat with our langurs. Do the langurs ever try to eat the Tanuki's food?
Actually, they do. So we have our routine where we'll bring the langurs inside twice a day or once a day, so we can ensure the Tanukis get their food. But sometimes if the langurs don't want to cooperate or come in, we'll have one jump down and grab a hard-boiled egg.
Oh, everybody likes the hard-boiled eggs, huh?
But we try to, like I said, shift the monkeys so we actually go in with the Tanuki and clean and service them and give them food, and that's another reason that we're trying to up the trust between the animals and us. Because
Yeah.
like you said, in developing a trusting relationship, part of it is this feeding, but what we can do is when the animals get more comfortable with us, we'll go in and we can work on things like weighing the animals, or we might get them to voluntarily crate if we have to move them.
And that training, does it also help if they need a veterinary checkup? Or?
Absolutely. We could also train them to present body parts, and when we train them to voluntarily present a body part, then we get animals used to taking a syringe, at least first without a needle, but then with a needle. So once they do say get an injection or a vaccine, it's no big deal to them.
Great. Well, you mentioned enrichment earlier, and we've definitely been talking about that with our viewers during OKC Zoo too. What kind of enrichment do these guys like?
Because they rely on their sense of olfaction, we do a lot of things with scents. We might go out and spray perfume or cologne, or we might put some spices out. We might spread some extract.
Oh, okay.
Another thing too is we like to change up their substrate or what they walk on. Just recently we gave them a bed of rocks, and then we also gave them a sand pit, which they've been using. In the summer too, we do a lot of water enrichment because it gets really hot, or we give them pools or maybe ice enrichment.
And do they like to stay in the huts of their habitat?
Yeah, I think that's one of their favorite places. Kind of ironically, they don't go in it, they like to stay under it. But if it gets too cool for them, they will go into the hut.
Yeah.
Actually, we have a monkey that probably uses the inside of the hut more than the Tanuki.
Well, as part of this OKC Zoo at 2 series, we also take questions from our Facebook fans and our Instagram fans in advance. So I'd like to ask a couple of those now. We've covered a lot of it already, so there's just a couple left. One of those questions is, what animal do you think their personality resembles most? A raccoon, a cat, a dog?
That's a really good question, but that's a tough question because they exhibit the traits of all of those animals. But they're really a unique animal in themselves. And like I said, they're kind of mysterious, so it's tricky to really figure them out.
Okay. All right. And last question is, can you talk about how old they are again?
Yeah, they're 3 years old.
3 years old. Okay. Well, we want to thank everybody for watching this segment of OKC Zoo at 2. Thank you, Roby, and Stephanie, and Crystal as well.
Thanks, everybody.
And we hope you have a great day.